I really hope you've told your friends to tune in, all right? Because there's information here that you absolutely need to know, all right? According to a report that was presented in South Africa just a few weeks ago, Africa is the destination for drugs every single year. And these drugs are flooding markets across the continent, killing people. 80%. Are we walking into pharmacies where chances of picking up a drug that doesn't work, or even worse, could harm you? Regulate it, and those who operate in it, those who can tell us facts from fiction. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Head of Enforcement for Food and Drugs at the Food and Drugs Authority. We also have Reverend Dr. Dennis, Global Strategy Director for M Pedigree. We've got Festus Krang on the phone as well. He's the coordinator of the Ghana Pharmaceutical Traceability and D Fellow on Public Health at CDD Ghana. He's a pharmacist, a member of the Royal Pharmaceutical Society of Great Britain and the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana. Absolute best voices on this topic. Gentlemen, good morning to all of you.
Good morning, Kojo.
Including those of you joining us via phone and Zoom. We really appreciate a foam mattress at an affordable rate. Things are really hard, and prices of goods and services are on the rise every day. Time to enjoy a 10% discount on the current prices of their mattresses. That's 10% off all mattresses with a free pillow as well. So rush to all Royal Foam shops. Get rest assured.
And the Electricity Company of Ghana wishes to inform the general public, especially our cherished customers, that although we are working tirelessly to strengthen and maintain a robust distributions and ripped roofing on our electrical conductors, resulting in outages. Now, the unknown faults on our feeders will have to be rectified and may take a while to be restored by our engineers. Individual or localized outages and incidents of falling or sagging conductors within customers' vicinities should be reported to the ECG call center. Those via ECG Ghana, ECGGH official, so ECGGH official on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as falling electrical conductors, since it could be fatal.
Very important. All right, listen, let's get into our conversation. Now, 500,000 people die from here. That's what we're going to find out. But we started from the end user. We went into the streets and asked it.
Since we don't have anything to identify that this drug is fake or not, because we don't have that much knowledge on the drugs itself, I think attending there, and then whatever they pick for you, just pick it up, because Standard Board have not even given us anything to is genuine, or if you don't see the sticker or don't see this emblem or anything like that, then it is fake. You don't have anything like that. So just buy anything that we get. You understand? So far as it's work for me, so I'm okay.
I have to check research on it before you even get to buy it. And also, you have to get prescriptions. Because you just apart from the expiring date, at times when you hold it, it will break. It's not hard. So that's what I check normally.
Whether it has not expired, because I've heard somebody say if your head is paining you can use maybe para or maybe Bico. So I don't check the side effect or think that is going to affect me. No.
Normally, I check probably the brand of one. When I think that one is okay for me. My brand is okay for me, so that's what I check.
We have Selon Brantier from the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, Reverend Dr. Dennis Senna from the Ghana Pharmaceutical Traceability Strategy Project at the Ministry of Health with the Ghana Pharmaceutical Society. Gentlemen, let's get started. And I want to go straight to the FDA on this one. Vigil, if you first to Africa, it doesn't go specifically to Ghana. But once you read this report, you have to ask the question, how much of this 80%?
In fact, when I read the report myself, I was wondering if really it was coming from an authentic source for the past 5 years. I have not come across any such huge figures, as high as 80% substandard and falsified medicines. Less than half of that. And even it's not as a result of substandard or being falsified, but mainly as a result of poor handling, transporting it from maybe the supplier to the failure rate or substandard and falsified medicines is far from us as Ghanaians.
Okay, I mean, you forgive us because we will want to challenge.
As regulators do carry out periodic sampling and testing of very essential medicines. So every year or two, we define which we use in determining the product to sample. It tells us where to pick the samples from, the sample size, and also we have levels of testing has been tested.
Okay, I mean, I understand the need to ensure that the public don't panic, but it's more important that they know the truth. So you're saying that every year thing is on 3 levels.
Yeah.
But drugs come into the country every day. So if you are testing every year or 2, how are you sure that your testing is giving you a true picture?
I did mention that we take certain therapeutic line.
What a therapeutic license is?
Line. That's medicine meant for treating a particular disease.
Right.
Right. For instance, if we test anti-malaria this year,
right,
we're not going to do it the next year, the following year. We're going to do.
Do you know it?
No. You see, apart from that, we have what we call the market surveillance team. They are always there picking samples to test, just to make sure that the quality of medicine that we use as them, where professionals, that's healthcare professionals or even individuals, can report to the FDA on any adverse reaction.
Market surveillance team.
Yes, it's countrywide.
Yes, how big is that? How many people make up this team?
In fact, market surveillance is a core mandate of FDA. So we have
Reverend Dr. Senna, by estimate, about how many pharmacies and drug stores do we have in Ghana?
Okay, so we have the community pharmacists, we have the retailers.
All right. So I mean, you've got 200 people checking 3,000 pharmacies. I mean, that's quite a stretch, is it not?
No, you see, if I say 200 officers, that's what the hospitals giving us feedback. We have national security, we have the all other when it comes to adverse reactions or when it comes to substandard or falsified medicines.
Okay. Now, Reverend Dr. Senna, just before you come in, I'd like you to listen to this, by which manufacturers of drugs can sometimes, to save money, flood the market with drugs that don't do anything. Please listen.
Corrupt our medication in collusion with some of our wholesalers and manufacturers here in Ghana. So if, for example, a wholesaler contacts active ingredients is there, that's what makes the drug expensive. So they make deals where if you want to say 100% of the active ingredients in the medication, active ingredients in the said medication, the cheaper the drug. So a drug can be in the country and it contains only 5% of the active ingredient. Let's say paracetamol, active ingredient, and the rest is just starch. So unfortunately, in quotes, the placebo effect, FDA could do regular swoops and check drug quality of these medications, especially coming from these countries. So my advice is FDA should be more proactive. Standard Board should be more proactive.
So, read to a standard that has 5% sometimes of the active ingredient. And it's no surprise that some people never recover from illnesses that should be treatable. Is this true?
Good morning, Kojo. Good morning to... I believe what you said, that the person is a pharmacist. This is just narrative have in the Food and Drugs Authority. And the regulatory frameworks that we have and what is done, this cannot be Ghana. Bring sample of that medicine which is tested, fine. You may bring the actual medicine with the right ingredients to be approved, and FDA approves it for use. Even before they approve it, the factory that produces it, if it's not in Ghana, it has to be inspected Okay, FDA is registered.
And FDA does this.
They do
every
it.
Drug.
They do it.
For
they do
every
it.
drug.
They do it for every drug, and they have processes in terms of, for instance, Vigil can speak to that better than I. If and it's in their database, they may not do it, but probably they will do the processes for manufacturing that particular medicine. Okay, and it after you start bringing in and deliberately pick samples and run tests on them to see whether you have maintained the consistency. What she narrated is possible, but it will be difficult in our kind of environment with a level of regulation. Our local manufacturers are always, complaining that it's too much in terms of the regulation that is expected of them. So,
okay, I'm still hoping to hear from one of our guests why what makes it impossible, right? Because manufacturers are made to go through, but you, the guys who are retailing it, when a thing comes to you, explain from your perspective, how do you know that
almost the patient or the carer or the one going out to get the medicine should go to a properly be sure that you have the right person attending to you for your medication and your pharmaceutical care needs. That's important. Okay, to have studied what medicines do, the posology, the formulation, and how it works, the safety, the quality, and the efficacy of that medicine. The patient entrusts us with that responsibility. And therefore, when we are going to get the medicine, be a community pharmacist where somebody comes to you with a briefcase or a bag full of medicines and say that, oh, this one somebody brought for me. Even medicines that are properly manufactured, going through there could be issues with them, maybe in manufacturing, and therefore there could be a recall. They know this, and they will follow it so that they guarantee the source, the supply. So if there's an issue, it can be traced.
Right. I want to bring in Salom Brandt here from M Pedigree. It probably doesn't really get much use here in Ghana, or it doesn't really come across much fake medication in Ghana, does it?
Good morning. That isn't used much, but the main thrust here is to really talk about the medication. They'll do that because the incentive is high in terms of profit. We are talking about a situation where somebody who deals in fake medicines anywhere for the good brand costs anywhere between maybe 250 to about 350 cedis. And you create a substance, you are actually making a profit of about 500% to 1,000% by the time you're able to sell it to the consumer. So what it means is I end up making 150,000 cedis, whilst I would have spent maybe only 1,000 cedis on it. So the incentive here is that I actually make more money than enter the public eye. And I will also, stand tense or a punishment that won't even let me stay in prison for more than a year. Or most of the time, you actually even just pay a fine. And then for anybody who wants to interfere or practice in this, to actually do so, and do so successful that we have a regulatory environment that is, I would say, higher than the rest of Africa. But the problem here is that what we do have are porous borders. Any kind of drugs into the country without it being very detected easily. We don't have a lot of high scrutiny. That is why in regulating this space, one of the biggest issues is assuming that, let's say, all over the country there are about 5,000 outlets that sell medications. It's possible for the pharmacists themselves to self-police all their colleagues at the same time. So it means that clients at exactly the same time is literally impossible to do. However, there have been a lot of measures in place. I mean, of course, like you've heard from Virgil, and you've heard full supply chain visibility, where from end to end we know what everybody is doing. Because like the pharmacist who you interviewed cases which are done by people who completely fake a registered drug, and there are substandard medications which are done by people who, but later down the line, use those credentials or that, what do you call it, that which didn't happen in Ghana, but happened in the USA. I think that was about 5-6 years ago, when a company called Rambaxi in the US, which is an Indian, ended up with a huge fine for the company after they were found out. But this was after the fact, so you would not even know how much damage they would have, for example, that similar things are not happening here. It will be very difficult, to determine the extent of some of it. But we also have to know that a lot of the vendors of drugs or medical tertiary work through Malata markets, through Makola, through Medina markets, or wherever, or Kumasi, any market in Kumasi, Asafo, wherever, you will see the hypertension to kidney disease, and they sell drugs right off the street. I've had occasion to actually, whilst pharmacists might be bound by ethics, a lot of these drug vendors are not bound by any ethics and also slip off the radar quite easily, and might be the big reason why we have some of these.
Wow, that's actually a lot to think about there. I'm going to bring in Kwame Sapon-Asiedu at this point. And really, what this report is to be believed, and there's really no reason why we have identified no reason to doubt the report. In spite of our proven regulatory bodies, what's the risk?
Every single person I'm having this conversation with, because I've worked in this space right from when I did my undergraduate project at the Faculty of Arranged Match for Africa. And so what Salom said resonates with me. A pretty organized regulatory authority, i.e. the Food and Drugs Board. But even that said, if you heard Salom refer to Rambaxi, you realize that even in level 4 recalls are issued from time to time that we have to deal with. You ask me of the risk. The risks are multifaceted. Situation that occurs when you've gone to see your doctor has prescribed a medication, the medication has been purchased rightly through your pharmacy, and the doctor expects, with what we call the concordance of all your practitioners, the patient must agree, the pharmacist must intervene, the nurses must intervene, and the doctor must intervene, is not getting the outcomes you expect. And on occasion, that has led to death. Yeah. Sometimes it leads to hospitalization, especially with antibiotics, is antibiotic resistance. And if you work in the sector that myself and Senna, and the world is running out of antibiotics. And the world is running out of antibiotics because these organisms tend to lower concentrations of the thing that is supposed to kill them off. They adapt themselves to resist it. And it's difficult to find. And number 3, research is not turning out new ones. So what happens, you get what we call MRSAs and Clostridium difficile infection. So those are the 2 major ones I would talk about. The treatment failure, in fact, antimalarials as well. So that is serious. And so when I hear Virgil talk about the fact that the highest we've seen in Ghana is about, but a cursory look on the United Nations Office of Drug and Crime website for Africa would realize that these things are some of these illicit actions. And we need to accept that we are doing well when it comes to regulation. And criminals are often one step ahead of the police. And when I listen to the person speak, I ask myself, is this possible? Possibly. I wouldn't say yes to that, possibly, and I'll explain why I say possibly. Because if you look at all the policing mechanisms when it comes to movement of drugs in nationals, i.e. the pharmacist to police, even down to do, because these fakers, some of them even fake the actual authentic product. And for some of them, they would actually that because they do not have all the research and development overheads that the original product in the right active ingredient and penetrate the market, which in some cases you cannot structure practices. And therefore, even though the drug might contain what it's expected to contain, sometimes you might take this product and it might not disintegrate properly in your stomach, and therefore you are not going to by a regulator like Virgil or the scientists in the quality assurance lab using disintegration tests.
Right.
The pharmacist doesn't. We need to democratize further the supply chain of medicines in Africa. And what do I mean? We need to empower.
If you don't mind, Kwame, I would like us to talk democratization of the process. I want to bring in final guest before we take a break. Just very briefly, Mr. Festus Krang is a coordinator at the Ghana. Mr. Krang, we will be talking about the solutions, which is the area you've been working in. But before you started crafting a solution.
Well, thank you for all your listeners, and thank you for all the panelists. In fact, they've spoken well. And all that is said, from global perspective, globally, is a big problem. In fact, it is next to antimicrobial resistance, as one gentleman said. From the business point, from the financing, reports from the agencies, the regulators, and the professor also not said, which I would like to add to it.
If you don't mind, just before we move on to your point, please don't forget what you were going to say, but just some clarity on what you have said so far. Are you saying that the policy was formed based on...
That we look at it from globally, at the same time we look at it from business point, finance point, report from our service,
right?
Their reports.
So that means you do know the size of the problem.
The size of the problem, children dying as a result of substandard medication. And you can see, one of the problems is the substandard medication and fake medicines. So if you add how wide it is, but it is a major problem.
Okay, but at least what you're able to identify that 10% of
now that it is caused by. And you see, it is not really because of immigration officers to close all our borders. It's almost impossible for that to actually sound some alarm bell in all of us, our ears.
Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to look to the solution. Well, according to the United Nations, 169,271 deaths are linked this year. Okay, 169,271 deaths linked to falsified. Children died from fake cough mixture. 9 children died in Cameroon just last month. Fake cough mixture. When your child is sick, you take them to the hospital. The hospital gives them drugs, or they give you a prescription to go buy the drugs yourself. Maybe you know the brands you want, but these are a lot of things we need to think about and figure out how to make our society safer. We'll do just that.
Ghana Chamber of Mines presents the 5th edition of the Ghana Mining and Energy Summit from the 7th to the 9th of June 2023 at the Accra International Conference Center. The theme for this event is Harnessing Mining and Energy Potential Executives, government officials in and outside Ghana's mining sector. There will be opportunities for B2B meetings, networking, collaboration, and exhibition of www.GhanaMiningSummit.com. To register or email info@GhanaMiningSummit.com for more details.
No matter who you are, trust yourself. Doing big. Break the rules, not the laws. Keep pushing every time.
Son, live with confidence.
Prices are going up. They're giving 10% discount, free pillows with every purchase. Hey, Royal Foam. Just when you thought all their money, Royal Foam has reduced their prices drastically. Buy a mattress, get it for the best.
Call Royal Foam today on 020-227-1000 for more information.
My head is killing me. Is that your stomach? Yes. What did you eat? I don't know.
Get rid of your gastric problems with number 10 liver salt. Number 10 gives you quick, it's a pretty tasty way to end an uncomfortable situation. Number 10 liver salt from Ernest Chem
is a good time to have a break. Introducing Munchie Anytime Crackers. Savor the moment. Enjoy Munchie Anytime Crackers anytime. Munchie Anytime Crackers. It's light and tasty.
I wish I could stay in the shower all day. I know, right? Nothing beats a bath with geisha soap. It smells so good, it lasts, giving us even more reasons to love our geisha bar.
New and improved geisha soap. Advert is FDA approved.
Be strong and last long. Like geisha.
And Joy FM present a detective calls.
You must apologize to her at once. Apologize for what? Doing my duty?
The most intriguing.
It didn't seem like such a terrible thing at the time. Don't you understand?
Grab a ticket for this highly anticipated rerun for only 150 cedis at Koala, Airport Shell, Nalum Stores, Battle One Hash, supported by Neplans Car Rentals, Futurecraft, Daily Guide, sponsors, The Sport Furniture, Saka Homes, and Detective Calls.
Because you're not the kind of father.
On air. Your morning radio. Coffee 99.7.
The Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 are very troubling. Children seem to be even more at risk than adults from fake medication. They are dying in numbers that are scary. Describe some pharmaceutical solution. How safe are you from fake drugs? When you walk into any community drugstore, pharmacy to buy Merrick for you, how safe are you? That's the conversation we're having today. Our guest, Vigil Edward Pra-Ishan, is the head of strategy director for M Pedigree, which is a product, a company that deals in tracking and tracing pharmaceutical traceability strategy project at the Ministry of Health. This is a project that has been designed to deal with this specific problem. Kwame Britain and the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, as well as the Institute of Pharmacy Management International. Owners, with SME Plus, you get to manage all your operational costs in communication. The service allows you to choose from affordable packages and enjoy talk time from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. Just dial star 5060 hash to sign up today. WhatsApp or call 0244 308 111.
Public, especially our cherished customers, of the ongoing exercise to digitalize all ECG assets and customer base in their Shanty and customers' data, including customer ID, telephone numbers, GPS code, as well as meter details, and also tag ECG. In doubt, call the project manager on 0249 106 that's in the Greater Accra region, or 024. ECG wishes to take this opportunity to request the cooperation of all customers and the general public in this very important exercise, which will aid the digitalization of our operations to the mutual benefit from you, particularly Virgil, because Selim makes the point that part of the problem is the unregulated market. So we know in and where they are sold.
Right, thank you. Unregulated or informal market.
Yes,
you're right. This any pharmaceuticals or any medical product, go to the licensed pharmacy or over-the-counter medicine seller, like Reverend mentioned earlier. So that the informal market is very high. For instance, if you see a drug on social media or on any website and you decide to place an order for it, law clearly states that buy from a licensed source. Okay, so it's for us as consumers or patients to also abide by the rules of the game. If they say don't, we at the FDA, we've made it clear that you can only import medicines or pharmaceuticals through Kotoka International Airport or the Tema Port. At that point of entry, those drugs are confiscated for safe disposal. So those doing business through the Togo borders, when we arrest you, we will prosecute you, we'll fine you like
if we find you, we'll do this to you. You've also made the point about, we've advised you to buy from licensed sellers and all of that. Deal with it from that point of view. The reality is that people are buying from them.
Yes, this is a new area that we are looking at. I think Pharmacy Council is taking a step. So there are efforts to regulate social media trade as well. So it's not something that we've just abandoned totally.
There are
massive platform. It's been launched, and It's for existing pharmacists who already have a brick and mortar facility. Progresses, we want to also be able to do that, but it has to be regulated because the medicines are regulated products, and therefore we want to know where you are, what you are selling. So you should be on that internet where you send it to be delivered. So it's something that has been launched and it's working. If I may continue, I also be getting their medicines. Get your medicines from the authentic source. When you go there, it doesn't mean when you go there, it is once you go there, that is it. We'll have our personal doctors. Everybody should have a pharmacist friend so that you should be who will be able to advise you the medicines in your pharmacy. You need to guarantee the quality, the safety. Last time, where somebody was saying because there are no jobs in Ghana, they should allow them to hawk medicines. I was like, they are carrying these medicines on their heads in bags, moving under the sun. You know the effect of in this fake, unregistered, unlicensed, poor quality standard medicine. So it's important that we.
I mean, you have a product that is supposed to be the solution, M-Pedigree. But I heard you say technology can allow us to check the source of a drug, even if we bought it on social media. If technology can help us check the source of it.
Basically, there are several levels to this. M-Pedigree solution, for instance, is one that is a multi-stakeholder. Years ago, when we started this fully, the world, especially Africa, had not even known what serialization is. Simple and elegant. What it does is that it helps identify every single pack of medication that is sold, whatever is required from the regulator, like the FDA, when they are now producing their products for, let's say, Ghana or let's say Nigeria or Kenya or on every single product. So each product has a very different number that's separated from the others. Think about it like how, back in the days when we were buying airtime with cards on your phone, and then you get your credits. Only that this time, you are not buying airtime. It's already on the product that you are buying. You scratch it off, you check, and then you get an answer whether it was in a night. And we operationalize it in Nigeria, where it is part of law, it is part of policy, where it is being implemented. Nigeria's pharmaceutical, it's about $7 billion a year market. And we have run over 1 billion products on this platform in Nigeria, especially for even the authorities to track down counterfeiters who are trying to use fake versions of our technology to try and infiltrate the market. And it helps align everybody on a roadmap towards solving this problem collaboratively. What we do, or what we did, was provide that it has not been able to evolve to a point of convergence where we believe that serialization probably is one of the best ways. It's very clearly that is one of the best ways to solve it, because it solves it from a consumer-oriented point of view, and it creates an ability now, because regardless of whether you are buying it from a street hawker or you are buying it from the most sophisticated pharmacy it's free to the consumer to check. These are things that are being done. For example, India has developed systems that are leading to that kind of serialization. Turkey has done that. Much as we have built in institutions always need to work with channels, or institutions need to work with and that is what M-Pedigree does, and that's what M-Pedigree provides.
Right.
I believe that we are at a point in Ghana where we have to also begin to look at should have, because that is the big missing piece of the puzzle that can help solve this problem holistically.
Okay, Stella, look, our conversation, I think we're going to have to wrap it up very soon because our time is almost up. But very technology the way forward, or are there other ways we can look at fixing this?
Well, Kojo, I did say that we need to democratize of options available. So technology could be one of them.
Right.
But the most important thing is empowering everyone involved in the FDA and other things. But
Right.
sometimes you speak to pharmacists and they'll tell you that the reporting channels could be frustrating. We need to have the democratization. We need to shut down the supplies of medicines in the marketplace. I mean, irrespective of what anyone says, doesn't allow them to do what they are doing. And it's high time as a country, if we really want to deal with this menace of that would lead to them going underground, and as a result, threatening the supply chain.
One thing we have to conclude on is that this conversation can't end here. We have to have the opportunity for our guests to join us, our listeners to join. Started this conversation with you all. Please, let's agree on a time to come back and continue this. There's so much more for us to learn. Until then, let's say, of the Pharmaceutical Society.